Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the top of the Western Conference, top of the world, feeling like after a rough couple of games for St. Louis City. But we're back in winning ways, taking on San Jose last night, an unbeaten home team this season so far. Haven't lost since I think last September we were looking at in 2022, and they just hadn't played City at their own home yet. So it was just a matter of us getting there to actually fly out and take them on. But welcome to Ball Watching. Justin and Jake, we're back at it on Sunday morning here. Thank you all for tuning in. Justin, any initial reactions? How are you feeling this morning? I'm probably slept, pretty decent last night after that performance.
I feel great, which is not something I usually feel for some of these games, especially watching at the pitch and then going out. I do want to give a quick shout out to, I told him I would mention him, Dominic. Saw him at Midwestern, and he actually called it out. He was like, hey, ball watching, and then bought me a drink. Thank you very much. But the one thing that he mentioned, he's like, dude, you even called it on the podcast. He's like, yeah, they're unbeaten at home, but guess what? So were we, and we just got bounced. Like, there's no reason why we can't go into this game and win this game. I mean, especially with a mixed up lineup. And I think it was huge. And you and I have talked about it off the podcast. Like, once we saw the lineup, it's like, there are so many hungry guys, and you parlay that with a team that likes to press. It was going to be an exciting game from the start. And it really was.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal game to watch, and just so many things to talk about in the highlights, and very, very different highlights, I feel like, than usual, just because it's a rotated 11 that we saw last night, and rightfully so. But before we get into the highlights, Justin, let's talk about one-word summaries. I'll start us off because I think you have a good one for today. But I'm just going to say, this is keeping it simple. But last night for me, it was nice just to have options. And last night we had options. When I'm saying options, we had a different look to our attack. We had a different man up top than we normally do. We obviously, had to do things a little bit differently, given everyone looked a little bit tired on Wednesday. And last night, I think, to me, more than anything, it just shows that we have alternatives and we have options when needed. I'm not saying that that's going to work out every single time, and I still think we need more depth, but we showed last night that even with some rotation, we have guys that are hungry and able to come in and make, an impact and make a game that we can go ahead and grab 3 points from a team that's surging up the Western Conference and is unbeaten at home this season. So it was nice just to have options last night and to grab a W, honestly.
My word is very similar to that. My word is refreshing. It was refreshing to see some of these guys with fresh legs. It was great to see Sam back. It was great to see Azil Jackson start. I feel like I watched the game with a couple guys. It was their first City game. They're from out of town. Don't know much about the team, but loved. They're like, who's the guy with the fro? I feel like he's everywhere on this game. And he was, and he really was. Another reason, Jake, that I have refreshing, Soul Juice. We're working with these. We'll come out with more details later. But guys, this drink, yesterday I was golfing, played 27 holes out in the heat. Have to do it again today for 18 holes. I will be drinking this all day. I stayed out pretty late last night, so you can also use it for a hangover. 3 ingredients, cream pear juice, lemon, and water. This stuff tastes incredible, and it makes you feel incredible. And I'm about to be revived and have a great Sunday with this stuff. So get out, buy some Soul Juice, and we'll be coming out with some more info on that soon.
We shall. The magical elixir, Soul Juice. But let's get into the elixir that was last night, because we put together quite a concoction to take on San Jose. And I mean, I want to talk about Adeniran like as its own topic. So, but let's just get into some of the highlights from last night. I think early on we were able to generate some chances, starting in I think the 9th minute, I believe it was, when AZ. By the way, I love the AZ start. Azil Jackson. I feel like we've been clamoring for that for a while. He's been getting minutes every game, and substantial, like 30, 25, 20 at that. But to see him start at the tip of a diamond last night in the midfield, he definitely still has some of the rawness to him where you wish he was a little more decisive sometimes. He's a little bit not as strong on the ball, but when he's on, this dude is on. I mean, he can turn on a dime. He can unlock that final pass. I want to see a little more of the end product in his game with the goals, because he could have had one last night, but he was good. And from the get-go, he was dangerous, combining with Adeniran, I think, for a 1-2. Put one on net, and we saw Alm almost finish the rebound. We saw him get really involved quickly, and we also saw Roman also get really involved quickly. Story of the night.
That save by their goalie, I mentioned a bunch of guys, like when you're one-on-one, like it's the Alm save was literally inside the 6. There was nothing Alm could have done better. Like, he tried to bury it, put his laces through it, and this goalie made a Roman save. Like, we're used to Roman's making a big save. Like, no, this guy made a Rome save in the 9th minute. We could have absolutely dumped these guys. We got out ahead. I couldn't agree more, though, on the AZ stuff. I kind of want to call him Oz. Is that okay?
You can go for it. Yeah.
I go Oz.
Stick, yeah.
I'm gonna nickname him Oz. But dude, he was all over the place. I feel like him and Celio coming off is usually a spark plug, but watching him for not a full night, but watching him from the start last night was incredible. But yes, you mentioned Rome, 21st minute, massive one-on-one save off the chest. That man just gets big and low. Even when he's not making diving saves and just making it look incredible, he's keeping us in games by just getting his body in the way.
He was, and we also got introduced to Adeniran again, obviously, this game. And I saw a moment from him the 25th minute where his speed in behind, he's a bigger man. And so I think when you look at him, it doesn't look as fast, but he has very, very good speed in behind. And he saw him catch up to a through ball. I don't know if, Joe Aquini or if some of our wingers could have caught up to. We had some great service from Akil Watts into the box. Akil Watts with the start last night at right back. Love to see that. I feel like we've talked about that before as well. I don't know if it was on the pod or if it was just like internally, but I thought he played well last night. And I do want to see him and Jake compete in that spot because I think they're both good and they both have different qualities that make them good. But Akil Watts last night in that position, his average position last night was almost into our midfield. So we almost kind of inverted with possession. So I thought he played well last night, showed some great quality. Blum, dude, I mean, it's every game with him. I feel like I'm more and more impressed the more we see him, just tenacious into tackles, but his distribution and his wherewithal and positional, like where he is on the field and where that next pass needs to go, he just plays so composed. He's never nervous.
No, I think Blum played incredible. I do want to say quickly, I don't think I just scrolled down. I don't think I have a low light from Akil Watts either. I thought he had a great game. There was nothing that he did wrong. I think he did what he needed to do, and he was getting up forward more, which I really appreciated. We see that out of Johnny on the left side. So seeing another right back get up and do that is great to see. Then the 39th minute, we had a quick takeaway and a counter from Miggy to Oz with a shot on goal, which is great to see. And then in the 40th minute, I loved that we had to score first. If we were going to get any points on a road trip, we had to score first. And Sam, some reason, a great finish, unmarked. I don't know what San Jose is doing unmarking Sam Adeniran. What is he, like 6'4", 220? Or at least he looks like it out there.
Yeah, he does.
Just massive man. So I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, it was good service from Alm from the corner kick. And God, I mean, I don't remember the last time we scored on a set piece. So that was good to see another set piece goal from us. But it was a great header, too. It was right into the corner. I mean, goalkeeper had no chance on it. No doubter. Sam barely even reacted. That, by the way, that was his first MLS goal ever. So very, very exciting for him. And then he scored his second later on.
I was about to say, he quickly followed it up.
Yeah, Sam is just a man among boys out there. I mean, he looks so much bigger than everyone next to him, and he plays like that too. And keep in mind, I think he's only 24 years old, so he's still got a lot of good prime years ahead of him. So this just could be the beginning of Sam Adeniran.
He is 6'4", 201, 24 years old. He's born in 1998. Just absurd to me. The man looks like I don't even know what to say. He's just massive up there. And it was huge. When I saw the news that he was coming back, I sent it to you. He goes, dude, and he's available tonight. I'm like, well, we just got the news like 4 hours before game time that he was even coming back. So I think massive. We already talked about it way beforehand. Unfortunate timing that we sent him off right when Klaus got hurt, but it was a great call to bring him back and obviously got 2 goals. So I would say as we get into the rest of the highlights, once we get in the second half, Berkey, insane save on that free kick, tipping over the bar. Love to see it. I mean, dude. He just keeps us in games. I don't know what we would do without him. He has to be the starter against Arsenal in the MLS All-Star game. I don't know who's playing better than him. Do you have anybody else?
No, I don't. I mean, he played so well last night. I want to talk about Berkey on his own too. We get to player ratings as well, because I think we can talk about a couple people more specifically in depth here. But to get through more of the highlights, it was also good to see Adeniran has that assisting touch in his game too. Like he set up Miggy on a platter last night and he just skied it over the bar. I think he hit the Jumbotron, the commentator said, like just nowhere close to the goal, but could have been on the board. Unfortunate. We did talk about it, Justin, too. I mean, Carnell kind of went for that third goal, putting in, Ostrak, Indy, Nico, and got a little skeptical about it. And we'll get to that in the lowlights, but I respect it, and I also kind of fear that approach sometimes too, because we were riding our luck a little bit towards the end.
Let's just get into it right now, Jacob. Highlights, lowlights, I don't care. As a general thing, now that you brought it up, I put a note in here. I loved in the 73rd minute. I put Carnell putting the pedal to the metal, putting in Nico and Indy. We're going for the kill shot. We're gonna end these guys right here. And then 5 minutes later, we come in with Celio and Ostrak, and I'm like, all right, let's maybe slow the horses down. We're not losing this game. Like we
Yeah.
don't need to be putting all of our boys back in that are looking forward. But then the only thing that kind of held me up is like I'm a big fan of as a center back, you don't want to switch up the back four that late in the game because you're coming in cold. You're not used to the style of the game, and you're one mistake away from giving up a goal, as opposed to a midfielder forward. They make a mistake. You have guys behind you. So I get not changing the back four, but just felt very offensive with me with Celio and Ostrak. And I texted you during it, and you're like, yeah, I think it's more of like a energy thing and like a press, and I appreciate that, but those next two were a little surprising to me. I love the Nico and Didi, like let's get the big boys in there, but I don't know how I felt about Celio and Ostrak 5 minutes later. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm torn between both of those mindsets, to be totally honest. I love going for the third, but when we're away from home and we don't really need the 3 points, we would love the 3 points. We just need to get points here, and it's tough. I also don't know what other options we have that are defensive off the bench, because think about our bench right now. The only guy I can think of that was on the bench last night that was defensive was Bartlett. Maybe I'm blanking on other people right now, but I think John Bell is still recovering from his cryo injury they talked about.
Yep.
Who else was even there to come on? Like I think Nerwinski was on the bench.
We had Johnny Nerwinski and Bartlett, and then Lim. So those are the only four that didn't play.
Right.
But I already told you I don't like switching up the back four, so I get it. But I wish we almost had like another. I mean, I would love to have another Blum. I mean, I think we would be winning. We'd win them.
That'd be fantastic.
Yes, but so that's why. But did we need to make two more? I mean, I guess energy wise, yes. But Ostrak and Celo just seem like guys to me that only go forward. I don't think we talk a lot about Ostrak or Celio like winning balls, getting back, but I will step back on that a little bit. The amount of, Celio, I don't think he stopped running. His heart rate had to be 160 the entire time. So he was flying all over the place. So I actually loved it afterwards. But when it happened, I'm like, Bradley, please do not do this.
No, I'm with you. It's just to wrap up the highlights. For me, I wanted to really pay close attention to how this game finished. Because you talk about we are very, very leaky towards the end of games, like last 10, 15 minutes especially. And I thought we were better last night. Still not great. But when I say better, I think you see instances of managing the game when guys are earning fouls, even if they're cheap fouls, trying to alleviate pressure. I think Joaquini won a couple last night late in the game just to kind of twist the top off a little bit and just let some of the air out of the game, because you could tell San Jose was rearing to try to get back into this one. There were some huge headers and wins from our defensive line. Speaking of a guy like Josh Yara, who we have not mentioned yet, who I think played a fantastic game last night. I was so happy to see him get a start. I think it's well deserved and earned, and I would honestly like to see more of him, because I thought he is a little bit of a different element. He has a lot more, I think, athleticism than some of our other center backs have, meaning that I feel like he has that recovery speed. He can make up for mistakes. He can make up for other people and get in behind and run back to goal and make it in time. But I thought overall we managed it decent. I still want to see less because Berkey was standing on his head. 2 immense saves in stoppage time that would have been daggers, man. We'd been waking up a little bit feeling probably a little bit undone this morning.
Dude, absolutely. I think we've already talked about it so many times. Berkey absolutely keeps us in this game. What was it? Sorry, I'm pulling up stats real quick. He had 8 9 shots on goal. So he had 8 saves. And I would say 6 of those are incredible chances. And so the man obviously is just continuing to keep us in games. Last thing I'll say as we close this out, which I'd really love to see, Blum. The man very experienced. And we've had a couple of these games. Like, you don't need to go for the third goal when it's in stoppage time. Blum took the ball to the corner, held it up. When after he won a corner for that, then held it up again. And that's where you kill it. Just put it as far away from our net, hold it up in the corner. Blum is extremely good on the ball, and just let him kind of kill the game from there.
And you don't see that from other guys sometimes too. Like, I think there were some chances where, like, I think Ostrak kind of turned towards the 18 and went to try to create a chance. Just go to the corner, man. We don't need the third. We just need the points, and we don't just need to kill time. So I'll leave it there with some of the highlights, but just quick on the possession in terms of stats. This was a perfect trademark City game. We had only 37% of the possession, yet obviously we had more of the XG and more of the goals. We had 1.73 XG compared to San Jose's 1.19. They had more shots. They had more, opportunities I think they generated, but I think we were more lethal with ours, and ours that we generated, even though they were less, were bigger and more quality chances. Otherwise, I mean, this team last night generated some great set piece opportunities, and we had both first half and second half XG. So a performance from us where we came up clutch in the offensive zone when needed, and defensively we had more tackles, we had more blocks, more clearances, and obviously a lot more keeper saves, and a couple of those being worldies from Berkey.
Dude, looking at these stats, I am absolutely shocked as it'll transition us into lowlights that we had less fouls committed to them. They had 19, we had 13. From the beginning, what that ref? Was it just me? I just felt like the game couldn't even flow. Both sides. I would say I felt like it was more on us, which I feel. I mean, obviously, when you watch soccer game, it always feels like it's more on you. But I just felt like it was very stop-starty. It's like, dude, you were here to officiate the game. We don't even want to know what your name is. Like that man, he had his name written all over that game from the start. So I'm kind of surprised we had less fouls there. But I agree with you. I mean, 37% possession. It felt like that. That's for sure.
You did.
But hey, that's how we play, dude. I mean, I feel like if we have 5% possession, we win a game 10-1. Like as the possession goes down, somehow we get better. And I love it.
Right. No, I'm with you. The only things I can really say on lowlights, and as we get into this, because there were some last night. I think there's always going to be learning opportunities. And I think there were some natural and organic ones where we talk about guys like Yarrow getting a start. There was some miscommunication in the very beginning with him and Tim Parker that leads to a San Jose chance. There's some times where I feel like Josh would step up and try to make a play on the ball, and maybe he shouldn't have and just stuck with the man. And we saw Ebobisse get a couple chances in behind, but he made some great recovery runs to break it up or to get a foot in.
Right.
We saw a little bit of some dangerous passes from Berkey sometimes to Blum, where, maybe kind of a little bit of a hospital pass there. You don't really want to give him the ball in that situation. Let's just play a little more safe. Sometimes we saw a couple turnovers. We saw a couple misplaced passes that lead to San Jose chances. But ultimately, I feel like we did a decent job limiting our mistakes last night. And I just want to see us play a little bit differently and a little more composed when we look at discipline. I don't know if you have any other thoughts kind of on lowlights.
Not a whole lot of lowlights. The one thing is, I mean, as you put in that many new guys, the chemistry, I mean, these guys play every day together in practice, but getting onto a field, the chemistry is going to be a little bit of a mismatch. It's something you need to make up for. So we saw that a couple times. You already talked about it. A lot of the guys made up for it. The Berkey pass to Blum, I like when he Berkey knows that these guys can handle it. He just didn't have enough pace on that one. Usually he does. I heard the guy, like I said last game, gave a ball to Indy. Indy tried to do a layoff. Like, no, Indy needs to be better in that spot. When Berkey puts some pace on it, you know that you got to hold it.
Yep.
And that's the one that Berkey had last night. A little more pace, fine. Didn't lead to a goal. For their goal, I would say Miggy needs to be a little bit stronger on the ball. I know we have a couple comments in here. The kid's 18. I know that he's 18. I appreciate how much he's doing. There are some spots where he does feel like he gets a little bit bullied. I will say he wasn't strong enough on the ball there. But other than that, dude, I don't have any lowlights. But then again, I don't think we said Miggy in the highlights either. So it's one of those things where he's there, but I don't know if he's doing enough, in my opinion, right now. And that's fine. He's trying to fill in for Leuven, which is, in my opinion, going for an MVP. So it's tough, and especially with the 18-year-old. But that is one thing I would like to see him just be a little bit stronger on the ball. And also, sorry, on that goal, the Ebobisse shot, pretty good shot. Roman got a touch on it. I'm not saying he should have saved it. It went just underneath of his hand. He almost had it, which just makes it even better for Rome. But if he would have saved that, I would have been shocked.
Yeah, and back to the Miggy thing, I think he's got some great raw potential, and I think we've seen flashes of it. I want to see him bulk up a little bit over this next offseason and put on some muscle and some weight to be able to take this, because the MLS is such a physical league, so I can't blame him for some of that stuff. But yeah, last night that was the goal. That's what it led to. He just wasn't strong enough on the ball. And I did see last night, though, he actually led the team in key passes last night. So he was pulling a little bit of the Leuven strings, where contributing a lot more offensively, which we see less of from him, because I think every time he plays, he's usually playing in like the 6 or the double pivot with Blum, where I feel like last night, if you think about our midfield as a diamond, Blum was at the base, Aziel or Oz was at the tip, and then you had Stroud on the left and you had Miggy on the right. So Miggy played with some more freedom to go forward, and I actually did see last night he made some great passes in behind and generated some chances for us, where I don't think I've seen that shade of his game before. So that was nice to see. I do think he definitely has some more room to grow, as much as most of our team does, given their age and given their lack of general kind of professional level experience. Guys like even Aziel Jackson, I would talk about, where, like I said, has some moments of indecisiveness where you lose the ball or you're not looking over your shoulder and you get taken off. I want to see some of that change, and I think that'll come with time. I also saw some dumb yellows last night again. I feel like that tends to be a theme that we talk about here, where there's good yellows. Yellows are there for a reason. You can use them tactically. And for us last night, I feel like we just kind of throw them away sometimes when we just get frustrated, which is not the best use for them because they do stock up and then we end up getting suspended for them. So it's not a great deal.
So I just pulled that up. That was one thing that I mentioned I wanted to do last podcast, do a little research on. I mean, it's our first MLS season. I don't know how common yellow card suspensions are and all of that. But when we look at it, dude, we are stacking them up. Jared Stroud has 7. Ostrak, now after last night, has 6. Parker has 6. Then we're looking at Bartlett and Hebert. They both have 4 right now. And to remind people, after you get your 5th, you miss a game. Then every 3 after that, you miss another game. So we're looking at Stroud. Once he gets to 8, so we have Stroud, who's at 7. He's missing. Once he gets another one, he misses a game. Then you also have Bartlett and Hebert, who also have 4, our center backs, essentially. They're going to miss another game as well. So that's one thing that we really need to keep tight. I feel like it's every game we get at least 3 yellows. I think last night, we had 3 yellows last night. So we had Aziel Jackson, fine. He comes off the bench a lot. Celio, though, and Ostrak. It's just building. And I don't know if it's refereeing or what, but we need to tighten that up a little bit because it's going to hurt us because we're going to end up missing guys for key games coming down the stretch.
I'm with you. No, I'm totally with you. It's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating to see it because like you've talked about, there's a time and a place for it. If you want to bring a guy down when he's about to make a break for it and they're going to have numbers and attack and it's going to lead to a chance, likely a goal or just a really great opportunity, bring him down. You have that to use, especially if it's late in the game. Bring him down. But I want to say Celio had just gotten on like 15 minutes before, and he's getting a yellow card just for like something that was just like he just kind of lost his head for a second. It was stupid. Like that kind of stuff I have no need for in the game. Just got to compose yourself sometimes. And you see Carnell on the bench doing the double fingers to the head. Like just think, just recenter yourself. We need you, and we need you to not be a hothead sometimes during the game. So I want to see a little bit better composure from some of the younger guys, especially out there. And I think leadership like a Leuven or like a Blum and Tim Parker can help that. But even Tim does that sometimes. He plays with his heart.
I mean, it's hard. Tim's such a big guy. Like, the man just pushes someone with his pinky and they go flying. So it is tough. I do love like a yellow card out of Seal. He only has 2 so far, so fine. But when he flies around, gets a yellow, sure. But when you do something dumb, it's like, all right, let's bring it back in. Let's compose ourselves. We're on the road. Let's get out of here. And I do agree, though, as long as it's in their half, I'm not as opposed. But just there were a couple where we gave up some pretty close free kicks, and it made me nervy, especially when you have a Bobasay and Severino up there and like whipping them in and or heading it. It gets a little close, but hey, we have Roman Brick goals, so I'm not over it.
Yeah, we do. Before we go to player rating, Justin, I actually just realized we did not talk about the second goal that we scored, the PK, where Aziel Jackson was sprung in behind, and I have no controversy on this call. I mean, watching it again, so he gets in behind. The ball is kind of it's rolling right along the line, the outside line of the 18, and he's getting closed on by a center back. He's closing fast. Big center back, by the way. And he gets close enough to it, gets his body positioned right in front of it, gets his back a little bit in front of the guy as he's about to make contact. So where you're looking for a shoulder-to-shoulder clash, which is clean, the defender, ends up kind of running through the back of Aziel Jackson. It's called for a foul at the time. It was right on the edge of the box, so it was close. It was not called a PK originally. VAR takes a look at it. It was in the box, and they argue the hell out of it. And even their coach, Luchi Gonzalez, was arguing with Carnell after the game, I think pointing at the spot, saying how ridiculous that was. That was just a PK. Like, it was a stupid foul, very stupid, where he was going away from the goal like that. And Aziel Jackson, knowing and the awareness to be able to get his body position right in front of that guy to force him to make that error was fantastic. And I wish he'd have gotten a chance at the PK, but Big Sam buried it. I don't even think he cracked a smile after he scored that second goal. And that goalie too, Daniel, this guy is one of their, I think they just bought him recently for a couple mil from Brazil or something like that. But he was the most flamboyant goalkeeper I've ever seen in his box before a PK. He was bouncing around the line, like talking and like hitting the crossbar, jumping up like 6-7 times. Didn't come close. Didn't even guess right. Like, Daniel, don't do the charade if you're not going to get a hand on the ball, man. Like that was brutal performance as a goalie. Embarrassing.
I can agree more. Yeah. And like you said, Sam didn't even crack a smile. If you watch the replay, he might have not even saw the ball go in the net. That man was turning around to celebrate. He knew he was in from the start. Like, He was so locked in last night. It was incredible. I'm so excited for these next couple of games. This man is hot.
Yeah, he is. Well, let's talk about ratings and let's start at the top, Justin. Big Sam, A plus 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 plus. Didn't even practice with the team before this game. He got called on Thursday night, flew up and joined the team Friday night for team dinner, and that's it. Didn't get one training session with the team before getting into this game. And what an impact player. In behind, target man, winning aerial headers, just bullying defensive lines. He was incredible last night. And if this is what we're going to get from him the rest of the season, you could not be more excited, because you think about Klaus coming back. You think about the time before Klaus comes back. He's going to be a really impactful player and provide something very, very different to Joe Alkini. And I think I could be in for a little 4-4-2 with those two complementing each other up top even.
So when you say 4-4-2, we'll talk about it. I kind of want to see Sam up top and Nico underneath and see what they can do. But we'll get into that in our next preview. But I agree. I mean, saying A++, could not agree more. Rasmus Holm, I think he did all right. I think he got up and down there. I don't think we had any. He had a couple balls whipped in. There was nothing over the top, or I mean, in a good way. Nothing that we had overly highlights and overly low lights for him. And
he had the assist on the corner, so you can give him that at least. Okay. But yeah.
But then when you work away one back, Aziel Jackson, I would also give him an A, dude. Like I said, multiple guys when I was watching the game with, like, who is this guy with the throw? I love seeing him fly around. I feel like he was very creative with his feet. I feel like obviously when you get him and Celio 1 and 2, those guys are masterminds. I feel like if you played them in like any one-sided 2v2 game in practice, they would absolutely dunce. I don't know, unless you put them up against like Leuven and Klaus. I don't know who would beat them, but I thought Aziel Jackson played a great game.
He did. He when he's dribbling with the ball, he looks like he's floating. Like he just looks like he's floating. He is. It just looks so natural. Like he's been doing this for a long time. Yeah. Going otherwise, we talked about Miggy. I think fine for Miggy last night. I would give him like a B minus last night. He had some good key passes. I think he was exposed sometimes defensively and showed his age sometimes, but that's just a product of how it is right now, and that's development, playing at this stage and at this level. So I'm still happy with how he's progressed. Stroud and Blum, I'm going to tackle them both. Blum played great last night. He wasn't like the talking point, but I think because he does a lot of dirty work behind the scenes and you don't notice him as much, because I think he is the end of a lot of their attacks and he's the beginning of a lot of ours. So he's never like the focal point of a lot of things. So I think he played well. I think Stroud also actually played a really sneaky good game last night. He contributed a lot on defense, being asked to play a different role last night, part of a midfield diamond. He wasn't just stretching us with width and providing verticality on the wings. He was getting back, tracking back, and making some big tackles. So I think he actually played a really, really good game last night too.
I agreed. I thought Stroud did well. He got up and back, still a decent amount of complaining, but I think in this game it was rightfully so. But I will agree. I feel like Blum is one of those guys. We've talked about it a couple times. When Leuven doesn't even stand out, but you know that he's having a great game, is because he's doing the dirty work. He's stopping their attack and then just giving a crisp pass out to the guys to spring us. So it's one of those things. It's not flashy, but we need it. And I thought Blum did a great job doing that again this game. Getting into the back line, Hebert, Parker, Yarrow, Watts. Hebert, no highlights, no lowlights from me. Parker, kind of the same. I don't think I had any specific highlights or lowlights unless you did.
No, I didn't. I agree with you. I think those two are the forgettable ones for me of the back line, but forgettable is fine. Like you said, they did their job.
Right. Correct. Like when we say this, like I don't want people to be like, oh, they're talking so much shit on these guys. Like, no, there's no highlights or lowlights. And as a defensive duo, that's good to have. Like that you just do your job. We got out of there with a 1 goal that, I mean, it was tough. I mean, but I think that was good. But I will say, Josh Yarrow, I think he had a lot of highlights. He had a couple of lowlights where he just didn't move his feet quick enough, but he recovered. And so it's a highlight for him. So I think Josh had probably one of the better games out of the back line. Mm-hmm. But then you would get to Akil Watts. I think I loved him back there, dude. Just because I think he did great on defense. I thought he got up. He's able to whip some balls in. He's a bigger body. I thought Akil did a great game. Yeah,
I want to see him get some more starts under his belt. Even just some rotation depending on the matchups with teams. I think, and it's nothing against Jake. I just think he provides a different element and a different look, especially in a system like this. We were playing a 4-4-2 with a diamond last night. I think that provides Akil Watts more freedom to move forward. And I think Nerwinski does that sometimes, but usually that's what they ask Nelson to do on the left side. So I think Akil played great last night. He stepped up. And then Josh Yar, like you said, I mean, hats off to him. He's been probably struggling a little bit, sitting on the bench so much this season so far. Probably not what he expected to be seeing, especially after captaining the City 2 last year to such success. But what a leader he is last night. He stepped onto the field last night, looked prepared, looked confident. And yeah, he shook off a little bit of rust, but he played great and he nullified a lot of attack and he showed what he brings to this team. And I do not think it'll be the last we see of him.
Definitely not. I would say. I mean, once we have Nielsen back, we're gonna have a good problem of too many guys in the back. But I'll be interested to see how we mess with it. So
I will too.
Let's get into predictions and
really quick
reviews.
Before we do. Okay. We have a bunch of people in here right now, so thank you all for tuning in live. If you're in here, hit that like button down below. I don't know where it is on your screen, but it's got the little thumbs up next to it. Really helps us get out to more people, and it helps us grow as a channel here on YouTube. So if you're in here, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, and if you're feeling really nice, hit that little notifications button so you know whenever we're going live. And if you're just listening on a podcast, that's also fine too. Throw us a rating, throw us a review. We appreciate it. We love to hear feedback. And it always helps whenever anyone, takes time to share feedback with us.
And something I want to push out as well, like when Dominic saw me last night at Midwestern, if you guys see us out, like Jake has a kid, so wants to not see him out as much. You might see him at the games, but if you see me out as well, call us out, dude. I talked to Dominic for like 30 minutes last night about the game. Like, we love chatting it up with everybody. We appreciate it. Call us out. It's fun. And also, you'll see me a lot. If you have not been there, get to the pitch. Had an incredible time there last night. A couple drinks, couple dinner. Obviously, a frozen Irish coffee, long day of golf, long night game. Had one right at kickoff just to make sure I was dialed in for the game. So get to the pitch if you have not been there.
Absolutely.
Or if you have been there. That frozen Irish coffee on a 95-degree day, I might need to get back there today after I play 18.
Hits different. It absolutely hits different with this heat. Let's talk about predictions because we hit last night on some Grahammers. But prediction-wise, we both predicted draw, right, Justin?
Correct.
I think 1-1 me and you said 2-2.
2-1.
So we were both conservative, but we were both happily wrong. And we both were in the green on some bets. I lost on my first half draw. That's what I had said. It was one of mine. But then I said the highest scoring half of the second half, which I think it cashed in 15 minutes on the second half.
I texted you immediately because I hopped on that with you. I had my Grahammer of City double chance, so either to tie or win at minus 135. I think that closed at it went to minus 145. And then once we had our lineup come out, dude, we swung. We were plus 220, and I think at game time we were plus 320 money line. So if anybody wanted to if you hopped on that right when the lineup came out and you're like, damn, I'm gonna go see these young guys fly around the field and I'm gonna make some money on it. Good for you. But hey, we still made some money. But the second half, yeah. Well, especially with how slow the first half was. Yes, we got a goal at the end of the first half and I loved it. But the second half, you knew some goals were gonna be coming.
And they did. They did indeed. So before we close out here, Justin, let's do our quick refresher on where we're going from here. Map time with Justin. But before we get to map time, I'll just be quick here. I think last night we showed a couple things: formational and depth flexibility. We had some new faces come out last night. We played a different kind of formation with the midfield diamond. I want to see if we're going to do this formation in the future with rest aside, knowing that we're going to play now in just a week. I would love to see maybe Indy come in for Miggy on that diamond. And I would love to see maybe Nico come in for Alm as that second striker to play with Adeniran. I just don't think Alm has looked as much himself post-injury. Big Sam, congratulations to him. What a performance. Totally different look up top. First and second MLS goals, despite no preparation with the team. And then it's tight at the top, man. Western Conference, we are number one right now. And I think it's LAFC that lost last night at home, who has a game in hand on us on the same level of points. So it's somewhat temporary. But we only have 7 points between us and the last playoff spot in the Western Conference, which is with Vancouver right now. So that lets you know it is tight in the Western Conference for the playoff standing. So we got to keep the pedal to the metal and just keep pushing to aggregate as many points as possible. So that needs to be our mentality to me.
Especially, I always felt safe because I felt like we always had like 2 games in hand because we had the Dallas game stuff. But now that we did Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, we're back and caught up with everybody. Everybody that's in a playoff spot is 19 to 20 games or 18 to 20 games, and we have 19. So everybody's right there, very compact. This is gonna be a very important couple months. I know we're missing some injuries. We'll get into that probably in a preview and talk about the Leagues Cup and all of that. So that will help us out, but very important run coming up for us.
Indeed. And finally, my last thing I want to say before we wrap up here is we got to keep starting strong. I saw some stats last night flying around about us when we score first this season. We're 8-0-2. So we talked about punching in the mouth and being punched in the mouth. We've got to be the puncher when it comes to these games. Whatever it takes, got to get on the board early because we play a lot better with the wind at our backs. And I think we just play a lot more free and less of those expectations when we're able to kind of just alleviate some pressure by scoring first. And that's not always going to happen. We got to be able to play with resiliency and play down as well and come back. But we play really well. Not necessarily, I feel like, controlling or managing a game when we're up, but I think we just play more confidently and we're able to tack on more goals when we do score first. So I just want to see more of that from the team as well.
Yeah. And like I said, it is going to be an important run coming up, but we'll touch on the preview. We got an awful Colorado team coming in. So I am excited for a home game next Saturday as well. Yep. Looking at the line already, we're minus 130. We're favored. Us to have 1.5 goals, minus 130. They're plus 285. This might be one of my bigger bets of the year. I think with some fresh legs, some excitement out of these fellas. I'm getting excited.
Little teaser. So we'll have to see what happens on Wednesday, because keep in mind, men's national team for the U.S., they came off a 1-1 draw last night against Jamaica, which will be the toughest opponent of this group. And Jamaica had, I think, 6 Premier League players in their starting 11 last night. I think we had 8 MLS players. So I actually, decent performance from the guys. But they come to City Park on Wednesday. So we'll talk about how we end up doing ours. I'm sure we'll still release on Wednesday and get an episode out for you all. But good little teaser there. Also, little teaser. Watch socials today. We have an interview that we've recorded with a member of City's coaching staff that's probably going to release soon. So I might ask you all to contribute a little bit. Give me some likes, give me some love before we release this, to make sure that you guys are hungry for it, because it's a cool interview. Had a fantastic time, and you'll see who it is very soon here. But we'll leave you with that. Anything else, Justin, before we wrap up?
No, that was a good interview. You guys are going to want to hear that one for sure. I appreciate it. And like I said, get some soul juice. It's in Deerbergs. It's going to be bouncing around all over the place. We'll be coming out with some news as well on that coming up soon, but this stuff is delicious.
Amen. Yes, everyone stay hydrated. Stay away from the heat.
Dude, it is so hot outside. I don't know why I agreed to golf.
Yeah, dude, that sounds absurd at this time, but best of luck to you. And best of luck to you all. Have a great rest of your week. We will catch you in the middle of it to do a preview for Colorado coming to City Park on Saturday. But until then, take care, and we'll chat with you soon. All for City.
All for City.